Hello, you dirty potters. How are you today? For the first time ever, welcome to an episode of Clay Review, where I take clay from companies, we throw them on the wheel, we try and make certain shapes, we trim them, we glaze them, and we talk about it at the end, giving it a good classic review. In today's video, we are testing milk chocolate from the AMACO company. This clay body is from their new chocolate line, of which they have white chocolate, milk chocolate, and dark chocolate. And these clay bodies are special to me for two reasons. Number one, they promise that there's no manganese in these clay bodies whatsoever. Yes, they claim that they are manganese free, which most companies will use to tint their clay bodies a certain color to get them to the color that's desired for the customer, which is important to me because if you don't really need it in the clay body and it's just for color, then like, why are you using it?
Why?
The second and more important thing to me is that they promise that the milk chocolate and dark chocolate clay bodies do not bloat over cone 7. For those of you who have been messing with darker clay bodies for quite some time, you'll find that if you overfire them past somewhere about cone 4 or cone 5, they end up bloating. But AMACO has stepped up to the plate and said, hey, we solved that problem, here you go. Before we get this review started, I do want to say that we will be taking this clay to its final destination. That means that we will be throwing it, we will be trimming it, we will be talking about the drying stages, we'll be glazing it, and at the end of the video, we're gonna give it a good classic review. So grab yourself a cup of tea and click that like button because this is going to be a while for me, but probably about 20 minutes for you. You know, and there's a couple of things I want you to know before we start this video. Number one, AMACO is sponsoring this video. They are giving me this clay and they're the ones who asked me to do this video. But secondly, whenever I fill out a contract or something with a company, I always put in my contract that I can be honest about the product within my review, which means if I find anything lackluster about this clay or that I don't like it, I have the ability to be honest with my community and the people that trust and watch my videos. This review is going to be an honest review. I'm making little 12 ounces here because I have a table coming up soon at the next SAC Anime Convention Center in Sacramento. And there's always one person at the table who's like, oh, I want bowls. Do you have any bowls? But whenever I make the bowls, that person never shows up and they never buy the bowls. So I stopped making as many bowls. But if I don't make bowls, that person does show up and they ask for bowls. But I'm gonna make the bowls this time. So that guy's not gonna show up. Watch. So AMACO has essentially promised me that there is no manganese in this. But if I didn't know any better, if I wasn't told to my face that there's no manganese in this, I would guess that there is manganese in this because this is kind of the color that manganese dioxide is when I use it in my glaze recipes, or if it's just put in like mocha diffusion or something like that. So I'm really curious as to what they're tinting this with to make it this color. Traditionally speaking, it's iron and manganese, but iron and manganese don't fire off or decompose all the way at certain temperatures. And because of that, sometimes it gets caught in the clay body, and that's what is really causing bloating. But AMACO says that's not an issue for us because we're not using manganese in the first place. And so I'm really curious as to what they're doing to get this color. Take care of the rim because we're not monsters. So I will say off the bat, no pun intended, that when you read on the website from AMACO about milk chocolate, it's gonna tell you that it's a kind of milk chocolate, darker stoneware clay body, which is weird because I feel no grog in this whatsoever. So the grog amount, or at least the grog type they use, must be incredibly fine for me to not feel it. I mean, even as I throw it, I cannot feel the grog whatsoever. And there is a possibility that it is in the stoneware category because it's not earthenware and it's not porcelain. But simultaneously, whenever I hear the word stoneware, I assume there's grog in it as per the word stone in stoneware. So it could just be that it's in the category of stoneware and there's no grog in it whatsoever. But regardless of those splitting hair definitions, it feels very, very smooth, but it also feels very firm. While I'm playing with it at the moment, it is giving me a little bit of kickback. It kind of feels like porcelain, to be honest with you, in the way that porcelain kind of soaks up water and goes, hey, figure out what you're gonna make me into. Don't play with me for too long. Okay, I'm already tired of making bowls. I'm already done with it. So let's slam you together, you together, you together, and you. Let's slam all y'all together.
Oh my God, he didn't wedge it. He's a madman. Oh my God. Oh, I would never.
Let's just be a little aggressive with it, you know? Is it bottoming out? No, it's not. Wow. I did not expect it to stretch that well. You know, we're really just messing around here, but you can see the belly is really extended in comparison to the foot and the head, and it's still standing up, and that's a good sign for me. I don't know if I want to push it to its limit or if I can test its stability by working with it past its comfort point, because clay does get, for lack of a better term, tired after a while. But as far as I'm concerned, this is nice. This is normal to me, I would say. There's nothing extraordinary about this so far that I could see. This seems like a very normal clay body. The only thing that I've noticed so far is that it dries incredibly fast. Not while throwing, after throwing. But I wouldn't say that that's a negative thing, it just is a thing. And I'm actually quite impressed that it is taking my abuse, because I'm actively trying to make it fall, correct it, fall, correct it. I wanted to see how far I could stretch this out. Usually by this point, I would have seen some cracks right here. Some clay bodies, once I thought everything was good and all the curvature was self-supporting, walked away, came back to just a glob of clay on the ground, right? And I don't think this will do that. It doesn't feel like it'll do it. But the fact that we got this out of me just messing around is pretty good. I think it's a miracle that they're making darker clay bodies that don't bloat without manganese in them. I don't know what they're putting in these, but I'm all for it. As far as the throwability of the clay, I think it's fine. It meets very, very normal standards. I don't see any issues with the throwability of this clay. It does not feel groggy. It feels nice and smooth for throwers' hands. It stretches just fine. It doesn't get tired too fast. It's one of those clay bodies that would be a very basic clay body. I would not give this to a beginner, mainly because I like to give beginners rougher clay bodies so they can understand that there is a difference in quality of clay bodies. If the first time you get your license, I give you the Lexus, you're gonna think every car should feel like a Lexus from that point on. No, turns out most cars don't feel like Lexuses. Lexus-y? Multiple Lexuses. Lexi? So what I generally do is I give the kid a 4-door Honda, and from that point on, they start to learn quality clay bodies and quality cars, to keep with the euphemism, right? And from that point, you can kind of tell where this belongs in the quality sector. This is a clay body that I would use for production, especially because it vitrifies at cone 5 and 6. It's a nice, tight, strong clay body with no manganese in it whatsoever that won't bloat. Let's get on to the trimming. So before we trim these, I want to talk about how quickly these dried. I threw these, waited till they dried just a tiny bit, took about an hour or a half or so, went out to lunch, came back about 4 hours later. I am in a completely enclosed area. About half of my studio is insulated, the garage door was closed, there was no fan going whatsoever, and these are now completely handleable and ready to trim. I truly want you guys to believe me when I say that this stuff dries ridiculously fast for some strange reason. Everything but this one right here, which was the larger one, is completely dry and ready to trim now. It's only been about 4 hours. And even this one is only not dry on the bottom. The rest of it, as you can clearly see, I'm handling. It is the same day. It's only been about 4 hours. And as proof to what I am saying, just in case you question it, I'm going to show you the thermometer on the front side of my kiln. It's not even that hot in the studio. It's just this clay dries very, very quickly. I've been putting quite a bit of emphasis on how fast this dries, but it doesn't just dry fast in the normal means, it dries fast while you're working on it.
1 hour later.
So I do suggest if you are trimming anything or you have some of your trim out, you might be used to a clay body that you can put some of the clay over here and just let it be out for half an hour or so. Or you might have a clay body where you can have a stack of bowls over there ready to trim based on how quickly you trim. It usually takes me about 2 or 3 minutes to trim every product that I have. But if you are slower than that, I do suggest wrapping it up, spraying it down, putting some type of bag over it to make sure the water doesn't evaporate out as fast. Because although it does dry relatively fast, it also keeps water very, very well. I can keep water in these things for like a week as long as I wrap them up very well and tuck them in. But if any amount of air holage is there whatsoever, yes, air holage is a word, I just made it up, it will end up drying. And if the bag is kind of slumped over like this where it covers only this part and there's air getting in here, it's going to dry unevenly and fast simultaneously, while this side is a little bit more wet, and then you'll get a contradiction in drying. Easy, that was an easy trim. Gave me no trouble whatsoever. We're gonna smooth out the bottom, make sure this portion is nice and rubbed down. Look at that, nice, big, long, perfect curls. When I was a beginner, my teacher would tell me to judge how something could be trimmed based on if you can make a fingernail mark in it without messing up the form. So if you can pinch clay off with your bare hand, it was leather soft. And if you can make a mark in it, right, and it can go relatively deep in there, then it was leather. And if it was difficult to make the mark and you saw whitening happen from the top to the bottom, because usually the tops are thinner, then it was leather hard. And if it completely was white based on the clay body or lighter than the original color, then it was bone dry. This is like perfectly leather, and we threw this today, guys. I know I keep tripping out about that, but the batch that you saw me throw on film that I assumed I was gonna do tomorrow, because dry times do be working like that, it didn't happen. We had to do it all in one day. Very nice. Good. Just some regular old bowls there, you know? Standard. As I work with this clay body, I want to note one thing. It does, as I've been saying, dry incredibly fast, but it also takes damage pretty well in the drying phase. The neat thing about this clay body, and I am aware that the #1 enemy of cracks and S-cracks and chips and things of that nature is either mishandling or poor craftsmanship, meaning that if it was going to have a weak point, a chink in the armor, as so to speak, it was going to do that anyway. So the majority of the time you get cracks or something like that, it's from uneven drying or incorrect handling. But I will say, I've been letting these things air dry and they have been fine. You know, I've already had 1 bisque load and everything has been good. Been doing this, putting some slip on there, getting my symbol, putting it on the bottom. And then as soon as I was done, I would flip it over, stack it, of course, like this. I would take them, make sure that this part isn't lower than this part because it'll shrink and it'll crack around it. So I have to put the other one in there. And then I'll just take it over to the kiln, and I've just been doing this. I just let it dry in the kiln and it's been fine. Like, everything's been coming out fine. I don't know if that is something good to say about the clay body or about me. Don't pay attention to those spots up there. I'm telling you, that's the dirtiest shelf I have. That's not a representation of the entire shelf. Don't judge me. And here's my thing, right? I've handled maybe, I want to say about 70-ish different clay bodies in my life, because as we all do, we usually buy the clay body that our teachers tell us to buy at first. And then we start to branch out, and in that branching out, we usually have to find the clay body that we're most comfortable with for our own medium and what we're doing. If you're looking for a specific color, then you want a color of clay body that can handle that speciality. That's why it's such a big deal that AMACO is making darker clay bodies that don't bloat past, well, I guess underneath cone 7. I'm so surprised there hasn't been like a potter yet who's made a t-shirt. There's the basic ones, you know, there's like pot dealer, and then somebody's like selling pottery. That's okay, that's basic. Your mom came up with that with her Live, Laugh, Love poster. But I need one that's like very specific, you know what I mean? I need one that says like, why was the baby glaze designer crying? And it's like, because he was missing his opacifier. You know, like, that's hilarious to me. And the 5 other people who got it. Editor, can you put a laugh track in to make it sound like I'm funnier? Yeah, thank you. I know, I'm hilarious. And the sooner that you realize I'm hilarious and click the like button, we can get on with this relationship. Okay, now that we're done putting the tag at the bottom of all of these, let's put these in the bisque, and in a little bit for you, but probably in a couple weeks for me, we're gonna put some AMACO glazes on these and see how they look with standard glazes that you usually use, like the PCFs and the ancient coppers and things of that nature. So let's put these in the kiln and get these glazed. So it looks like we're pretty good to go now. I just have to make sure I can fit all of these bowls in here without having too much disruption. I try really hard to make sure I get stuff like this. There's plenty of space in between for it to move around, so when the clay shrinks, they'll come out safe and sound. I'm actually gonna trade these for these, because if a test style gets a little messed up, it's fine. But if the bottom of the bowls gets stuck on this piece of kiln shelf I haven't cleaned off right here, then we have a problem. Okay, other than that little spot right there and a couple more test styles, we can now fire off this kiln. Okay, now that the milk chocolate is out of the bisque kiln, let's take a look at it before we actively glaze it. I do want you to take a look at this clay body right out of the bisque kiln, mainly because it's a very distinct type of milk chocolate color. I've made 2 of them and they're coming out like this every single time. There's no difference in color. But the main reason I want you to look at this is because there is a very, very clear difference, although I will fully admit I have bad eyesight, in between the milk chocolate and the dark chocolate in the bisque. Some less experienced potters would most likely see this come out of the bisque in the milk chocolate or the dark chocolate and go, that's not what AMACO promised me would come out when I fire this thing. It does get a bit lighter in the bisque and it does turn a little bit darker in the full glaze when it's completed its life cycle. So please be aware of that. Once we fire both of these, the dark chocolate and the milk chocolate, will most likely get way darker. And it's no more obvious than when you put the dark chocolate and the milk chocolate next to each other. It's like, okay, I could technically tell the difference. From afar, it's actively a little bit difficult for me to see. This kind of looks like the same clay body, but with more stain in it or something. From afar, because I have bad eyes, but close up, it's like, oh no, I can tell. I can definitely tell the difference. One thing I have realized from your point of view that I have realized since the white chocolate review is that you don't really have a proper barometer unless I glaze stuff the same every single time. So I know I naturally gravitate towards the more iron saturated reds and the PCF glazes and things of that nature, but I have realized that we're not gonna have a comparison for white chocolate, milk chocolate, and dark chocolate unless I glaze them all the same exact stuff. So I need to pick what glazes we're gonna do, and hopefully retroactively I can do that for white chocolate as well. So in today's video, we're going to glaze these 2 bowls. We're going to glaze them both with River Moss from AMACO. This is one of their dipping glazes they gave to me quite some time ago. We're also gonna do Lynette's Opal. I have a very large amount of this. I keep making this glaze because it looks so delicious and beautiful on darker clay bodies. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that because they stay away from dark clay bodies. But dark clay bodies have their place in the clay world. You just have to find the right glaze to work with them. So we'll be doing these 2 glazes on top of, you know what, screw it, let's do Randy's Red. Let's do Randy's Red. Everybody love Randy's Red. These are actually pretty good product. I could sell these on my website, earthnationceramics.com. Let's pick some actual testers out. Ah, yes, I found some trash work that we can do. Let's glaze the bowl Randy's Red. This can be Lynette's Opal, and we can do one of the good dragon scale mugs in this River Moss right here. And that'll be our testers for consistency. We'll use these 3 glazes on dark chocolate as well in the next episode. And of course, we're gonna test the specific gravity of our Randy's Red right now, just for consistency's sake. And that is about 1.38. I'll take that. Let's do a little 1, 2, 3. Take it out. Do a little Lynette's Opal right here. Everybody loves this glaze. Everybody loves this glaze. 1.34, that's fine. Last one is river moss. .48. That's fine. That's good. Everything is, you know, I don't think that's the correct specific gravity for this glaze on the AMACO website. But I'll tell you what, when we did our review on it, this specific gravity that I've been keeping has been doing fine. So I'm going to keep using it. Get a little dip in there first. Turn that out. Get it literally everywhere. Then we can do the pro strat. That was like a 6-second dip right there. That's gonna turn out so good. Okay, and as we usually do, let's talk about what we're putting inside of our Cone 6 oxidation kiln before we actively put it in. This here is a milk chocolate bowl with Randy's Red on it. We measured the specific gravity, and we also counted our application time underneath the dip. This one I don't expect to come out differently from how my Randy's Red usually comes out. A bit of a sidebar here, if you make Randy's Red as a beginning glaze maker, there's a lot of metrics there that you need to attune to in order for it to actually turn red. Otherwise it turns all kinds of weird yellow and blue half the time. But on darker clays and iron-based clays, it has a higher chance of turning red, usually speaking, in my experience. So I think this will just turn the normal red. I will be surprised if it turns out anything other than some type of kind of burgundy red. This one over here is Lynette's Opal, a classic favorite from a John Britt book that almost everyone that I know uses a topper or a flux type glaze, even though I think that's weird terminology to use. I find that Lynette's Opal often turns different colors on darker clay bodies, so I'm very interested to document this after it comes out. If it comes out a banger, that means Lynette's Opal is a ringer for these darker clay bodies like this. And this one here is River Moss from AMACO DL-42. This one I'm most excited about because I haven't really tested. They gave me a lot of them, but I've never tested them on like milk chocolate clay and darker clay. I've only tested it on white being mixed with grog, I think porcelain, and a red clay body. So if this comes out different, I will be very, very surprised. I'm very surprised to see how this will come out. Okay, with that being said, here are our basic tests. Let's put them in the kiln. Okay, now that everything's out of the kiln, let's take a look at our milk chocolate testers. This is Randy's Red on a milk chocolate clay body. I do know that everyone really wants to just see the natural black clay body, but I want to stop here, and this might just be a me thing. You know, you tell me in the comments below whether I'm crazy or not. But in the bisque phase, it was a little difficult for me to tell the difference in between the milk chocolate and the dark chocolate. There is a clear difference now that I put them next to each other, but sometimes when they're standalone, I'm like, oh, that's obviously milk chocolate. But when this one goes away, I'm like, okay, is that milk chocolate or dark chocolate? And listen, I know that's a me thing. I'm aware that's a me thing. But when I take it to its final firing, when we take it all the way up to Cone 6 oxidation, we can see the bottom of the clay body here. This is what milk chocolate looks like in its final fired form. Let me get a black one for you. This is what the black one looks like. This is what dark chocolate looks like. And you know, I like this way better. Little spoiler alert here. This is dark chocolate and Randy's Red, and this is milk chocolate and Randy's Red. And they look very, very identical. You know, I would say the discrepancy in between this little light yellowish red here and the dark red and this being darker red here is probably just application. That's most likely just my fault because of the way I dipped them. But as far as the clay bodies go, sometimes it's hard for me to tell from afar which one is milk chocolate and which one is dark chocolate. And I know it sounds crazy because you're looking at it on screen and you're like, I can clearly tell the difference. But I'm telling you, sometimes when I'm working and I have all of these things lined up,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
it's a little hard to tell the difference in between all the clay bodies that I have. If I saw these two at a table, I'd be like, okay, one's a little darker than the other, but that just could be my bad eyesight. You tell me in the comments below if I'm absolutely insane. You know what? I might just need glasses now. I might just need glasses. This is Lynette's Opal on a milk chocolate clay body. that is pretty good. The reason I picked Lynette's Opal for all three of these tests on the dark chocolate, the milk chocolate, and the white chocolate clay body is because when you look at them, they are massively different. Let me go ahead and get the milk chocolate for you real quick. There's a bird outside. It's gone. It left. All right, I might have overreacted. Anyway, gotta stop taking so much pre. Crashed out on a bird, dog. The reason I chose Lynette's Opal is because the difference in between how Lynette's Opal reacts truly is in the amount of iron and or stain in a clay body. If you just don't modify the glaze whatsoever. This is Lynette's Opal on the white chocolate clay body from AMACO. This is the milk chocolate, and I'm not gonna show you the dark chocolate yet. You're gonna have to wait for that episode. But the difference in color is astronomical. In fact, I would go as far as to say that if you put whatever AMACO is putting in this clay body to make it this color, in Lynette's Opal, you'd probably get something akin to this color if you did a small line test, 1%, 2%, 3%. If you keep on going, you'll probably get this glaze on a white clay body as well. But the difference is crazy large. Now let's take a look at my favorite one, which is River Moss from the AMACO company. It's one of the DL glazes, as well as the milk chocolate clay body that we're testing today from AMACO as well. Fantastic. I really mean it, fantastic. Even look at the little rivets right here that I put inside the handle. Oof. Again, this is on the milk chocolate clay body, and the thing that I like about this glaze is that it's really, really versatile. We've done a glaze review on this before. I'll link it down below if you haven't seen it, but it is one of those glazes that when put on thin, it makes a celadon-ish type glaze, and you can see where it was thin right about there. You can kind of see through it. But wherever it's thick, both on the inside and parts of the outside, let me see if I can find a thicker spot here. Just about right there. It sometimes makes these little iron bits that I'm mad in love with. This is easily one of my go-to glazes as far as just making a pure, solid emerald type green goes. Again, a little secret, and I know I'm doing a lot of spoilers for you today. I've done all of these colors on white chocolate, milk chocolate, and dark chocolate, and done a little more testing as well. And they do look a little different, but this one here comes out relatively solid. Here, I'll go get it for you. This is River Moss on the white chocolate clay body here, and you can definitely see where I didn't put enough of the glaze on it. Turned this type of celadon-ish green, but where it was thick, or at least where it laid inside of texture, you can definitely see what I was talking about, these types of metallic spots that you might get in other spaces. There it is. Those are beautiful. That's all I want. And it comes out much better on the milk chocolate clay body, just hand over hand. No, I didn't change the specific gravity. I might have dipped this one for 1 second less than the dark chocolate one, but I'm telling you, whatever stain they're putting in these things to make it this color is helping this glaze along. Well, thank you, Dirty Potters, for joining me today for the review of the milk chocolate clay body from AMACO. Keep in mind, the link is down below for this product if you want to check it out, and it is a newer clay body, so do some experimenting of your own. But on my side, it's coming out great. It's not bloating, which is what the company promised me, and that's the #1 thing you're really paying for with this clay body. Keep in mind, although this was an honest review, this video is sponsored by AMACO, which means 2 things. Dante's happier, and there's no ads on this video. Yo, let's go! Let's go, no ads, ads suck, let's go! On a serious note, ads do suck. Okay, have a good day, bye!
Thank you for your patronage.